Factories once ran on people and assembly lines, but no more. Now they're being overtaken by robots, AI, and automation. But is that just hype or the truth? Welcome to the episode 2 of AI Verity Show, where we get behind the hype, behind what's real and what's not in AI. And this is brought to you by Veritis. And we're going to dive into the world of AI in manufacturing as well as automotive. Let's get started. For those of you that are new here, welcome to the AI Verity Show, brought to you by Veritis. I'm just going to share briefly how we put the show together. We consist of 3 parts. Number 1, we share AI use cases from around the world to bring to you the future of AI. Number 2, we then share practical steps that you can take now to get ready for this AI revolution. And then number 3, we look at some real-world AI use cases that you can possibly apply to your businesses now. Today, we're diving into the world of AI in manufacturing as well as automotive, and we are going to look behind the hype of some of the news stories that are here today. And we're going to dive into the concept of microfactories as well as modernization. And I want to welcome to our show 2 very special guests. Over here on my right, we have Renard Henry. He is the head of IT at Toyota Connected North America. Welcome, Renard.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Can you share a little bit about your career with our audience?
Oh man, that's a long career. So I've been in tech for 25 years now. Been in multiple different industries in my tech career. So I started at LSU Health Science Center when I was just still in college, and have been in the healthcare space, construction, now automotive, also been in online education at one point in time, finance at another time. So I've gotten to see technology in different industries throughout my career. So it's been good so far.
Yeah, and share a little bit about your current role, Renard.
Today I am the head of IT for Toyota Connected. Of course, our customer are the internal teams at Toyota Connected. We are basically making sure that we are world class for our employees to make sure they do a great job with the technology for the vehicles. So Toyota Connected focuses on the safety connect of the vehicle, as well as the multimedia of the vehicle as well. So we are technically a technology automotive company, but we work with all entities of Toyota as well. So it's been very fast paced, which I love.
Yeah.
I always say, I always do a football analogy when it comes to Toyota. I thought I moved fast until I started working at Toyota and understood there was a different level. And that level is speed, but it's also Kaizen and continuous improvement as well.
Awesome. We're so excited to hear your insights today. Thank you, Renard. And then we have Vic Param as
Hello.
well. He is the CEO and founder of the Veritis Group. Vic, please share a little bit about yourself with our audience.
Yep, I would resonate a lot with Renard in terms of my experience, over 25 years of experience in the technology realm. Started as a consultant that over a period of time realized that I would add much more value to the community by starting our organization. We started Veritis like 21 years ago. We recently celebrated the 21st anniversary of Veritis. So Veritis, we provide technology consulting for our clients, which include Fortune 500 clients to mid-sized clients. We specialize in horizontals like DevOps, cloud, artificial intelligence, data, and security. And we have verticals that we support as well, with automotive being one of the biggest verticals that we support. And I'm really honored to have Renard to be a part of this event, because I'm going to learn a lot, and we are going to re-strategize as well based on what we are learning today from Renard. So
Absolutely.
yeah, glad to be here. Thanks a lot, Fanny, for hosting.
Absolutely. Lots to learn today, lots to discuss.
Yeah.
We kind of, for this first part of the show, we kind of scoured the world looking at different news articles and the latest AI updates. And one very interesting thing that we found was from Wall Street Journal, and it was around a microfactory that Hyundai had built in the city of Singapore, or the country of Singapore. And we wanted to show the audience this clip first, and then I'm going to ask our guests to provide their insights as well. So let's roll that right now.
This may look like just another car factory, but it's actually a new microfactory, manned by autonomous robot dogs and robotic arms monitored by AI. It's designed to change the way cars are produced, and it's been built in the heart of one of the smallest and most expensive countries in the world, Singapore. Microfactories reinvent the way cars are made by automating most of the process and building them in a cell rather than along a production line. Microfactories are one of the biggest changes to car making in a generation, and if the concept is proven, it could shape the future of the industry. In traditional auto factories, vehicles travel along a linear path and parts are installed along an assembly line. While the procedure is increasingly automated, the basic process hasn't significantly changed.
Here it's different. It's a cell-based model, which means that there are different cells around the factory floor that are focused on different tasks, and that actually allows for a lot more automation.
In each cell, robots are tasked with installing several components of the car before it's moved to the next zone. Cells can be modified with different instructions, from installing parts in an identical car design to assembling a different vehicle altogether. Hyundai says that more than 50% of the manufacturing process at its Singapore microfactory is done by robots. Automated ground vehicles move the cars around the factory, while four-legged robots equipped with AI cameras monitor and analyze the assembly. Issues identified by the robot dogs are then fixed by human workers.
It's pretty exciting, this microfactories concept, and it's obviously going to be a game changer. Bernard, I want to ask you, coming from automotive, obviously, do you think microfactories are going to become the new norm? Because one of the things that we notice, at least here in Texas, right, and I want to read some stats to you, the trend is towards building bigger factories. We obviously have the Tesla's Gigafactory out in Austin, Texas, and it covers more than 10 million square feet of factory space, and it can build more than 250,000 vehicles a year. However, that example we saw just now in Singapore with Hyundai, that was just 935,000 square feet and only making 30,000 cars a year. So do you think it's a really viable solution to be going towards microfactories, or what are your reactions to that video, Renard?
Well, I think it's very interesting. I do think microfactories can be a trend later on, but I think it really depends on the product they're trying to sell. This might be for maybe smaller cars, like you said, 30,000 in this microfactory, might do well for maybe cars that are not doing as well as far as being sold. So, and this also gives a chance to be able to put a microfactory in a place where normally you would not be able to set that up. So that can change. As you saw, it was almost hyper automated for the most part there, with probably little or no human interaction at that plant, which in a sense we're probably going to start going that way with AI and robotics, but I think that human factor will always still be around. There's certain parts of the vehicle that a robotic arm, et cetera, just cannot get to, that humans still will need to take part of that. I think it will bring production faster, but as we can see, this is more on the EV side, not a hybrid or a gas vehicle as of yet. So those will still be around for a while. In other countries, EVs are being sold. They are more attainable in other countries. Here, we're still almost in that crawl, mid-walk, run, walk that we're doing right now when it comes to EV. Especially in Texas, there's not that many places where you can charge, et cetera. So will this model happen in the future? I think it is possible, especially if you're saying, hey, I want something maybe US based to be able to produce this model. I think that can be possible.
And what do you think about the evolution, Bernard, of going from we're all familiar with the assembly line, right? But now when we look at that example, it's very cell-based and like individual cars. What are some of the maybe advantages or disadvantages of those two models?
Well, I think if you look back previously, when it came to automotive, it used to be a big human factor in it. You still had that almost conveyor-like going down there, and used to have a lot of people actually building one car. Now we have more robotics now that take away the heavy lift of building a vehicle now. Could the pod, in a sense, be something of the future? It's possible. Could you build the entire vehicle, add the accessories, etc., in a pod and then move it out? If that's possible, then I think that is a viable option going forward.
Yeah, but I guess it can't get to that volume that the assembly line still can.
No,
Yeah.
the assembly line, of course, is always going to be a lot bigger. Like you said, you're doing 100, 200 vehicles a year to a smaller pod that's only doing 30. Some may even be smaller than that. You might only get 15 or 25,000 out of the year. So it really depends on that business and where they think is going to be more viable for the vehicle to be built and get that to market faster.
For sure. And I like the distinction you made, especially because it is just for EV right now, right? The complexities of more gas-powered vehicles still can't quite get to that cell.
Not yet. Do I think it in the future? Yes. The way we're going for our technology, the way we're doing AI, robotics, etc. I think eventually we will get to that point where we're going to have a fully autonomous plant that's just building vehicles 24/7 for the most part. We're getting there on that side, but right now it's more EV. It's less components. It's more standard components for an EV vehicle than it would be your gas or your hybrid vehicle.
Right, right. Thank you, Bernard. Vic, from your perspective, right? I know a big part of what you are passionate about is the quality standards as well. And we saw these kind of robot dogs looking at or monitoring for accuracies and anomalies. How accurate do you think that can get with these kind of AI robots to look at quality checks and quality assurance?
Statistics have proven that AI-enabled, like this robot, which would go and check that particular part of the weld or something like that, they're able to identify like 95 to 98% of accuracy with 95 to 98% accuracy. I would say what stops it from being completely autonomous is the environment. Let's say bad lighting. Changes in the composition of the metal which is being welded. So these are things that the models today, I don't think they have enough data to be able to come back and say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to be able to take a decision even when there is bad light, if the metal composition changes when they're manufacturing steel and so on and so forth. So always put human in the loop. So don't trust AI so much that you're rolling out a car for the common population to start using it. Sometimes at one point of time for it to fail. So I would again reiterate, human in the loop is still a necessity. The complete automation, complete autonomous quality testing is not there yet. So
Right. Yeah. I love that point about human in the loop for sure.
Yeah.
Now, Bernard, this video, we weren't able to play the whole thing, but one of the stats in there was that 50% of the production of this video in this microfactory are robots. And how do you kind of see that? Is there an ideal robot-human balance, or is it an evolution? What are your thoughts around that?
I think it's evolution. I think it's too early to tell what that percentage is going to be over time. Like I said earlier, we're still in that crawl mid-walk phase right now when it comes to this type of technology, AI. Robotics have been around for a long time. Technically, AI has been as well. So I think, I like the saying, trust but verify. Let's make sure that where we're going, we are trusting, but we're also verifying that we're going in the right direction. I always say, what problem are we trying to solve if we're going to use AI, if we're going to use robotics? And that's the same thing in automotive. Is it going to be, we're going to move faster production, but is the quality still going to be there? I think that's all determined, like you said, with human in the loop is going to determine what's going to be the best factor for us. But I do see robotics and AI becoming more of a factor each and every day. Like it is now, AI is here, it's not going anywhere. We're moving pretty fast. We're in that crawl, walk phase, but it's very fast that we're moving. If you think about it, maybe a couple of years ago, people just started talking about it, but now businesses are being built. And the same thing when it comes to automotive. We're trying to figure out how fast can we get to putting that vehicle on a lot, having that in someone's hands. So AI and robotics will play a heavy part going on into the future.
Yeah, for sure. Vic, from your perspective, right? Obviously, the theme of the show is cutting through the AI hype, right? Because there's some stats out there right now that 80% of AI projects are failing right now, right? Because it's still that crawl phase, like you said, Renard. So when you look at microfactories like this, and you work with a range of mid-size as well as enterprise companies, how viable is that to really kind of put into here in the US, for instance?
Good question, right? Renard spoke about it. Depends on the market, right? So if the market, I think this video is talking about Singapore, wherein it's not the biggest of the countries in the world.
Yeah.
So, and also the product. If you look at it, again, the product is EV. Now, so market and the product, they will define like what is the size of the factory that you're going to be put there. And also, of course, the cost. In Singapore, if you want to buy that kind of a land, I think Gigafactory is like 10 million square feet.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if you'll be able to buy such land in Singapore. So
It takes up the whole country.
Yeah, it takes up the whole country.
Yeah.
But yeah, coming back to the viability aspect of it, again, if there are like environments wherein there is a huge demand for a particular model, so companies would want to think about it based on the supply chain as well. If the supply chain is bad, what is the point in actually building a factory there? And also, if the demand is less, what is the point in building the factory there? So these are the two considerations. Now, in springboarding of what Renard said, because of his expertise from the industry, the modularization of the particular components, because it was EV that was shown in the video, very less parts. Being an auto enthusiast, I love internal combustion engines because there is a lot of engineering that went into designing internal combustion engines. So we cannot get so many parts and try to modularize them unless you get those kits which are ready-made, and then say that, you know what, yeah, I'm going to get these kits from some other location, be able to just put it together and be ready for the market as quickly as possible. Right. So that's what would be my take on having these microfactories in the US. I don't think US is so big, so we can put up production facilities anywhere as we want it. So
for sure.
The viability is not so in the near future. I don't see that happening. So.
Yeah, and that the growth as well, right? Renard touched upon it, right? It all depends on the specific location, the geography, and then the demand.
Yeah.
And then it's interesting that those cell-based models, it allows for high customization. But then at what point is there an ROI for such high customization?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, for sure. Well, I want to take this opportunity to just pause for a second and give a shout out to Veritis, which this show is presented by. It is a global IT solutions and services provider based in Dallas-Fort Worth area, empowering Fortune 500 and mid-sized companies to address complex business challenges and drive growth through high-impact, value chain-focused technology solutions. So let's play a quick clip from Veritis right now.
For over 20 plus years, Veritis has been transforming businesses through technology and empowering people through values. With 600 plus enterprise projects and partnerships with Fortune 500 companies, we deliver nothing less than 100% quality and commitment. Our capabilities span across strategy, applications, managed services, data, intelligence, security, and infrastructure, helping businesses scale securely and innovate faster. The impact: up to 40% faster innovation, up to 60% cost optimization, and market-leading results. From infrastructure to innovation, Veritis is your executive edge.
So for this part of the show, we wanted to dive into how to get ready for the AI revolution, right? Some very practical preparedness as well as readiness that companies need to look at. Bernard, I want to pose something to you because there's obviously disparity between AI for large enterprises and mid-sized companies, right? It's a whole different budget and resources. One of the things that we found in our research, for instance, the Volkswagen Group, they announced plans to invest up to 1 billion euros in AI by 2030 to accelerate vehicle development, advance industrial applications, and build a high-performance IT infrastructure. But that's just not possible for mid-sized firms, right? So do you have advice for more of the mid-sized enterprise companies and how they can still stay competitive, but without those large budgets?
Yeah, just like you said, bigger companies have bigger pockets to be able to do more for longevity, but your startup, your small or your mid-size doesn't have that funding that everyone else does. So a lot of times they don't even have a full executive team for those, especially when it comes to a startup. So you might want to, a lot of people go into fractional executives in order to help them move into that AI, area that they're looking to do. Because at the end of the day, I think first, before you do anything, you bring any new technology in, even when it's AI, it goes to what problem are you trying to solve? And also the answer, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But you have to be prepared for tomorrow and just not today, and AI is one of those. So a lot of times bringing in a fractional CTO, CIO, in order to help you make those technology decisions for the business is sometimes the best thing for them, because that fractional executives, he's here for a certain amount of time. He or she is there for a certain amount of time, maybe for a project, or maybe just trying to understand strategy to help that business move forward. It's at a lower cost, but you still get that expertise that you need in order to make those right decisions. Because at the end of the day, the major thing for any business is to mitigate risk and increase growth. And to do that, you need to have the right people in place in order to help you make the right decisions. Because of course, like me, I love data. With the right data, I can make the best decision possible doing that. And that's what you need with these startups, maybe an advisory board as well, in order to help you navigate AI as it is now. Because right now, like you said, everybody's throwing money at AI. A lot of companies are failing because they're starting up at AI and they're failing. We even see it in the automotive industry. How many EV companies started and now are bankrupt and closing because it's just trying to understand what the market needs at the end of the day. When it comes to automotive and when it comes to your business, what does the market need is going to be the direction more than likely I'm going to go in order to keep making my business grow at the end of the day.
Right. Such a fair point there, Renard. Thank you. Vic, I want to look to you. Renard talked about the people side of things, right? Resources, the human resources. But in another report that we found, the 2025 McKinsey report states that the proportion of manufacturing employees over the age of 55 has more than doubled in the past 20 years. Right? We do have an aging workforce and demographics across the board. Right? So people are retiring, and a lot of that tribal knowledge, that kind of deep industry knowledge is retiring with those folks. So any advice for companies to upskill their aging workforce plus attract tech-savvy, IT, and AI-savvy talent?
I read that article as well. So, and I was so intrigued because it went from about 12% to 25%. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is going to make a huge impact in the way workforce is available and intelligence is available for the automotive industry in the next coming years, right? So at least from when I'm speaking to experts like Renard, what I'm hearing is that they're taking a two-pronged approach, wherein knowing fully well that the tribal knowledge is going to not be available after some time, they have started a huge initiative of documenting the processes, problem resolution, and all of that stuff with AI-enabled and augmented reality systems. So that is giving them access to a digital database wherein anybody, whoever is not from that background, can also look at what to do, how to do, and all of that stuff. And also they are partnering with universities into hiring people which are interested in topics like robotics, data science, artificial intelligence, and to ensure that that gap is filled as quickly as possible. But again, the biggest concern would be, do they have those systems in place to be able to capture that knowledge for people who have been working for the past 30 years? That does not come. If I'm going to teach you within half an hour, or at least 6 months, I'll not be able to share everything. So that needs to be captured. Those systems need to be created for sure. And that needs to be done last year. So not today. So that is the amount of urgency that exists right now in terms of capturing that. So yeah, if it is not mitigated, there's going to be a huge talent gap, which automotive industry is going to start to realize pretty much within the next couple of years.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I love your point about attracting that new talent through colleges. And I've had guests before from UTD, and just talking about the importance of partnerships between colleges and industries, so that talent is learning relevant information, relevant skills, and trainings for this fast-moving world that we are in, for sure.
Yeah.
Renard, from your perspective, right, at Toyota and even just across the board, how is that capturing of tribal knowledge being done, or advice that you have around that, and attracting the new talent?
I think, agreeing with Vic, you have to have those areas set up in order to capture that tribal knowledge, because eventually somebody will retire, someone will move on, and the new generation of people in tech will come around. Some of that is needed, if we talk about, what facts do you need, the half-life of facts, some things are important and some things are not. So I think the business has to determine what is something that we want to keep around for people to know, and what is something that we are okay with letting go at the end of the day. Not everything needs to be captured and recorded, etc. But if it means that it is a part of something that the business uses to function, yes, you need to capture that. You need to have that in order to have historical information for that later on. You take it to the simplest form. If someone starts new, you need them to be able to get up to speed as fast as possible. So capturing that knowledge is important. But the business also has to determine, what do we need to keep? You can't keep everything. You can't become a hoarder of information. You have to decide what you're going to let go at the end of the day. So I think every business, like you said, already needs to be doing this, if they're not doing it already, to capture what's the most important thing and what's not. Because as we know, any information changes over time. What you started off on day one may not be the same information that is true by day 10, by day 20, or day 200, or even the following year. So that's when that determination is, do we need to still keep the information from day 20 if that's not even the facts anymore going forward?
Right. Not all data is relevant data.
Correct,
right?
correct.
I think you bring us such a good point around, there needs to be decision-making done of what to keep and what not to keep, right? And what's still relevant. Such a good point. Vic, do you want to build on that? I know data is a big thing for you and at Veritis. How are you helping organizations make that transition when it comes to data to be ready for AI?
This is a very interesting topic, which I've had this conversation with a lot of executives like Renard, he's got a very good point of what data, right? So traditionally, if you look at it, different industries have different ways to store their data. It could be in multiple silos and all of this stuff, based on their department, based on their region, so on and so forth. When we are talking to our clients, we are saying that, hey, how normalized is this? How many repetitive? What is the data structure? How many repetitive schemas? How many repetitive databases are there? So, if let's say if CEO of the organization wants to come and take a decision, saying that, okay, I want to be able to spend about $10 million in this new initiative, does he or he have enough visibility to be able to take those decisions? What I have seen till now, really not. It still is an old system wherein the data is still siloed in different segments, and somebody needs to run the reports to be able to come and say, you know what, there are these BI teams which run those reports, take the data from different data warehousing BI teams which take those reports and build those reports for the executives to take those decisions. In the world of AI, there should be a scenario wherein the data is completely visible to the system. And the executive will need to come and say, where are my biggest sales? Immediately the AI system should come back and say, this is the region, which is the most selling model in that region. This is the most selling model in that region. And then they can plan for the supply chain effectively using AI and be able to take those decisions. And today, that does not exist. So I'm looking for a scenario wherein all the executives sit and say, you know what, we're going to make our data so visible to the AI system, and so that the executives can take their decisions based on that. So,
right. Fair point. Yeah, I was actually on another show where a CIO shared they put too much data into the AI model, and it ended up creating all kinds of iterations that were not relevant.
yeah.
And only when they parsed back the data was the answers more clear and accurate, which is fascinating, right? The initial thought is to feed it tons of data, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll add there as well, just to springboard on that. AI is garbage in, garbage out. Mm-hmm. So you need to be very, very careful about what is the type of data that's going into the training models and all of this stuff. You train it with bad data, it comes out with bad decision-making suggestions, right? So we need to be very, very cognizant of it. So I completely agree with the executive that you spoke, the CIO that you spoke to. So they need to be very, very careful about it. Yeah. So
I'll add on there. In what we talked about earlier, trust but verify. You can, like you said, feeding AI a lot of data, and then it starts coming back with misinformation, not understanding. I've dealt with AI and seen that before, but that's why we have to understand what information we're giving it and understand what information we're trying to get back from it at the same time. Just don't take right now the way we are, AI, whatever information you're getting, just like, oh, that's the right information, let me use it, let me go through it. Really understand what information and what outcomes you're trying to get from it at the same time. And that goes back to that trust but verify at the same time. If it feels like it's wrong, it may be wrong.
Yeah. I think that's going to be the new slogan for episode 2 here. Trust but verify.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, at this point, we want to take another quick pause to share with you one of the values of Veritis that brings this show together. Empathy is one of their values, and we wanted to share with you some of their community service projects that they do throughout DFW and beyond. Let's roll that now. For this next segment, we want to dive into real-world AI applications. Again, just getting past the hype of everything. Bernard, you obviously see a lot in your industry. Let's get really tactical and practical, right? What are some very specific use cases you've seen for AI in automotive that you see as viable and has a lot of legs around it?
For me, what I've seen, and try to go as deep as I can on that, when it comes to coding, et cetera, AI is becoming very viable on seeing those errors and knowing how to fix those in real time. So we're starting to see that a lot more because, as we know, vehicles do have a lot of programming, a lot of data that goes into it. We are not, the older vehicles the way they used to be. There's more technology in the vehicles. So getting that code and that technology in those vehicles, we have to do it as fast as possible. So AI, it can help with that very easily. Like I said, we're still in that crawl, mid-walk run, but I do see very viable. But I also will go on the other side of that and say we have to be cautious at the same time. What guardrails do we have on those type of access that we're doing? Because the simple thing is, have we seen before, when ChatGPT just came out, et cetera, we have people at other businesses throwing data in it and not understanding that becomes public information to everybody. So we really need to understand, and that goes into our AI governance, that everyone should already have. If they don't have it now, it's something they need to be doing. If you have an InfoSec team, your security team technically should be your AI governance going further. So that's where I see, anything you put out has to have some guardrails around it going forward. We know that AI governance in general in the next couple of years will be one of the major new positions that people will have going forward in a lot of businesses. So I think far as what AI is doing now, I think we're on the right track. I think in automotive, we're seeing a lot more in the programming. There's a lot of different AI platforms that help with programming when it comes to vehicles now. But also we have to understand, how do we keep that enclosed so someone from the outside, like you say, a bad actor, a hacker, et cetera, does not get that information and means to do bad with it, or can corrupt the system as well. So like I said, trust but verify. Once again, make sure that we have AI governance protecting us going forward when we're using AI in the near future.
Yeah. I know that when we were preparing for this show, Bernard, one of the things that you're enthusiastic about is digital twins as well.
Yeah.
Any use cases you can talk around that in the automotive industry?
Yeah, as we've seen, Amazon already does that with digital twins when it comes to logistics and their warehouses. I think it works great. I can see that also in the automotive space. It's in the early stages, but there are other companies that are using digital twins. That way they can design, understand the vehicle, make changes, et cetera, using the digital twin instead of having to be hands-on. Again, as we see in Amazon, logistics used to be a more human factor. Someone had to be at that factory, at that warehouse, and walk the entire floor to understand the landscape of it and how it needed to change. Now that we have more technology, digital twins are taking over in that space. And now you can sit back in your office and understand how the logistics are going to go for that warehouse to make it easier, to make it, to scale, et cetera. So that's where we're going as far as those digital twins. Like I said, I think it's a great concept. It's something that people were already trying out years ago, but I think it's more viable now going forward.
Right. And there's some cost savings too, right?
Oh, of
These
course.
simulations.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Even outside of that, if you notice there, and you're just saying simulations, if you look at just automotive, you go into F1, there's simulators, et cetera, in order to get those drivers to understand the new roads that they're going to be on before they even race. So simulations, digital twins are something that was already there in a sense, but now it's becoming the new norm for every business, even outside of automotive.
Yeah, thank you, Bernard. Vic, obviously you work with a variety of different clients and industries. But specific to manufacturing and automotive, what kind of AI use cases are you seeing success?
I think production, one thing is production. They are looking at my background being mechanical, and I'll geek out a little bit. So, there is this critical path method and PERT technologies wherein they usually understand. Also, they do time and motion study in terms of human beings, how they actually move their hands and all of this stuff. So that analysis is being done a lot right now. See, because in production system, you save a minute, it actually culminates to a lot of improvement in production. So that is AI is being used to study how humans move, what is the better way to do it. Quality control, that's a big thing, just for the fact that we talked about this robot coming and looking at that particular component and coming back and saying, you know what, it could be defective. The human being goes and kind of welds it or fixes it once again. So that's one thing. Also, predictive analytics, wherein we are working with a transportation company, a defense transportation company, wherein they are trying to see, they process a lot of data about ultrasonic data, sound data onto their trains, which by having IoT devices. And if there are any anomalies which is above the band of what the ultrasonic vibrations are, then they start looking into, just imagine the scale of those, how many data points, how much of data that needs to be processed in literally real time to be able to take those decisions. So that's what is the bigger impact of AI, wherein we are able to enable human beings, we are able to save lives, so on and so forth. So, and that's what is going on in the manufacturing and automotive industry as such. So huge transformation. I would say we are really at the inflection point of human enablement with AI. So,
yeah, there's a science to it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. You know, a lot of people don't put technology and science together, but in a sense it is. You know, if you, like we talked about earlier, you know, he's talking about production, et cetera, to get to scale. It's all the science around it. How fast can we get to scale? If people don't understand, technology and science go hand in hand for the most part in certain aspects. If we go outside of automotive, people always wonder why there's always a Walgreens and a CVS on every corner. There's a science to that. There's a reason for that. Why that certain products in a grocery store are at the bottom shelf to the top shelf. It's all dealing with your eyes. So there's a science to everything. And even with technology, there's science behind it to understand how can we get to a certain place. When it comes to automotive, how can we get to production faster than the other automotive companies? How can we get this vehicle out so people know about it before the next one comes out? How can we have the best product before anybody else? So there's a science, and technology is playing a big part of that as well.
100%. And I want to pull a little longer onto the string that you brought up, Vic, about predictive maintenance. Right? Because with all the robots and machineries that's making other machinery and automobiles, there's the whole maintenance side of all that machinery, right? Can you talk a bit more about that side?
And share some data points. I think industry people who have applied AI for predictive maintenance, there are statistics that the maintenance windows have gone down to up to 40%. And the quality, when they are applying AI for quality has gone up from, identification of defects has gone up from 96 to 99%. So huge impact again. So if just imagine a scenario wherein an assembly line just stopped because one machine failed.
Yeah.
So the whole process backlogs, because in an assembly line, you just don't have one person working, you have 100 people working behind the machine that literally goes down. So the cumulative productivity loss is not one machine or one person, it is 100 people behind that machine. So that would be the impact of this predictive maintenance. If you're able to reduce the downtime with AI, I think the cost savings, the productivity is literally phenomenal. So, yeah.
I love what he said about predictive maintenance. If you ever notice now with your vehicle, if we go back to automotive, when you have an issue with your vehicle, It sends an alert over to the dealership calls you.
Yeah.
You don't even have to make the call. They're already texting you and say, hey, we already got an alert that you need preventative maintenance. Hey, let's schedule that. At first, it never used to be that way. Now these steps are becoming in, like you said, preventative maintenance. They're trying to get ahead of the curve. They already know what's going on with your vehicle. By the time you bring it in, they don't have to ask any questions. They take care of it for you. You're having a shorter wait time now going with your preventative maintenance for your vehicle. And now you're on your day. I remember the last time I did it, I was under 30 minutes.
Wow.
You know, 30 minutes. I went in there, boom, done. You say, hey, you're finished. Mr. Henry, your car's ready and ready to go in 30 minutes.
I want to go to your dealership.
I was thinking the same.
but the change, and don't get me wrong, is it every single dealership? No,
Yeah.
it's not.
Right.
But the right dealerships with the overall Kaizen and continuous improvement will put those things in place using AI in order to get to the customer faster. The thing that we have in technology now is more a proactive state than a preventative state. We're trying to be more proactive now with any technology that we bring in. AI is also, we're trying to be proactive to find those errors, et cetera, like you said, preventative maintenance ahead of time before you ask the question. And that's what AI is helping with as well. So we need to understand that AI in automotive or any other area is not a hindrance to us. It's actually helping us get to scale faster, actually learning a lot more, a lot faster. So it will create these new jobs that we see. They might not have names for them yet, but even going to college will change because of AI. So we'll see people have higher degrees in certain things. Certain of your low-hanging fruit will go away. So there will be certain jobs that will go. So we don't want people to fear AI. Understand that it's going to be part of our lives no matter what we do, and we need to understand that, hey, we're trying to prepare ourselves for tomorrow and just not for today.
For sure. If anything, that predictive maintenance part of it, it enhances safety,
Yes.
right,
Yes.
for the ultimate user,
Yes.
right? Checking things
Yes.
before it becomes a problem in my vehicle
Yes.
is definitely a step forward for safety.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I want to kind of wrap up here and have each of you share, based on all the things that we've discussed today, right? I'll start with Vic. What would be one kind of key takeaway you want this audience to leave with today when it comes to AI in manufacturing and automotive?
I think AI is going to be the enabler. So we need to accept it. It is absolutely not going to be able to take our jobs because we have something that AI will never be able to attain, which is humanity. So the decision making, of course, it is going to help us a little bit, but again, as I was talking about in the example, it will not be able to get into the intricacies of that little thing that differentiates a human from a machine. So just the bottom line is AI is absolutely going to be an enabler. Let's not fear it. Let's adapt and accept it, and let's be better human beings.
Thank you, Vic. Bernard, your
Yeah.
side.
Man, what Vic said was actually great, and I agree with him. I think at the end of the day, like you said, AI is not going anywhere. It is here. We need to understand that it will help us in the long run. Don't fear it, because people do worry about, are their jobs going to be taken? In a sense, yes. The person who understands AI and is grabbing a hold of AI will be the person who takes your job if you don't do the work and understand it. I've spoken to other executives, people who are not even in the technology area of their business, say, hey, I'm going to go take a class around AI because I need to be prepared for what's next for this business. I might not be a technology expert. I might be in finance. I might be the CEO of a company that has nothing to do around technology, but they're saying, hey, I need to be prepared for this next wave, and AI is that next wave. So I think anyone, even if you're not an executive, if you're just starting out in your career, AI needs to be a part of that. I've also seen that universities, even business, parts of the university that deal with business, are focusing on AI. They know that is the next wave. When their students graduate and they get out, that will be the wave that they will have to deal with. So that's my final take at the end. Be prepared. You know, AI is going to be a helper for us, but just be prepared for what's coming tomorrow.
Right. I do want to call attention, though, you know, just to keep things real, because in the news, we still do hear large companies saying, oh, because of AI, we are doing these massive layoffs and things like that, right? And there is that elephant in the room that those stats are out there in the news circuit. I would love to hear from you both really quickly. Just how would you address that when people hear one story that it's not going to replace humans, but at the same time, we see some big corporations that are using it as a, I don't know if it's an excuse or what, to lay off people. Vic, your thoughts around that?
A word came up, a phrase came up, conspiracy theory. So I don't want to be the conspiracy theorist, but if you're talking about that example wherein 14,000 people are being laid off just because of AI and all of this stuff, if you really go one level below or dig a little bit deeper into it, is really AI able to cut so many jobs? Is the current talent, whoever is saying that, are the current systems, the current software or the AI software or the current systems so efficient that they're able to just cut off 14,000 people? Yeah. In my humble opinion, no. So, but I think it just needs a little bit of
the corporate narratives.
Yeah, it just needs a little bit of digging deeper into what are the facts. So yeah.
Bernard?
Same. I agree. We see the headlines. We freak out about those headlines, especially with the numbers that come upon that. So I think it is digging a little deeper in there. Who is actually, if you're saying you're cutting 30,000 jobs, who are those 30,000 jobs? Who are the titles, et cetera, that are being removed? Like you said, I don't think AI is there enough where you can cut 30,000 jobs for people. Now, are you talking about some repetitive jobs, maybe here and there? But I think some of it, like you said, is a little bit conspiracy theory, a little bit of hype to say, hey, AI is ready right now to cut 30,000 jobs. I don't think that's actually possible. I think when we see those headlines, we need to dig in a little bit deeper. We do know, hey, Amazon is going all in for AI. There's certain things, yes, but we need to dig a little deeper on what that actually means when they say that many jobs are being cut.
Right, 100%. And then obviously there was a lot of overhiring
Yes.
when we were coming out of the pandemic and during the pandemic.
You're speaking on a good point. If we understand before the pandemic, hiring used to be a norm. Buildings used to be full with people. When we came out of the pandemic, work from home, doing less with more became the norm now. And that's what we have. More. Even if you go to a department level, more departments are smaller now. They're not this big 30, 40, 50 demanding of a department. Departments are small. People want agile teams now, getting faster with less. So if we look at it that way, there may be some validity to that conversation. If you're just trying to say, hey, we could do less with a smaller team who is a lot more agile, is actually faster than having 200 people on one team, then yes, that has to be a conversation to be had. But we know now, like I said, after the pandemic, a lot of things change. A lot of people, there's certain people who don't even have corporate offices anymore because of work from home. Work from home is the norm. That gave us bigger scale, access to more candidates and more people in other states and other countries now.
For sure. Well, thank you, Vic. Thank you, Bernard. And thank you to our audience for tuning in. It's been a very, very insightful discussion and obviously lots more to discuss. But for all of you out there, be sure to connect with Renard Henry as well as Vic Param on LinkedIn. And thank you to our listeners. For those of you coming in from Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify, be sure to subscribe as well as on the YouTube channel, AI Verity Show. And thank you for tuning in. This is the AI Verity Show, your AI truth seekers. We'll see you next time.